my grandmother was sitting at the table and she was just flipping the channels, and the Ellen show was on, and she just like, this look of disgust just came across her face. She was like, she looked at me and she was like, she's gay. I hate her. I figured out why I was so wired last week.
Oh,
because I took my meds and I forgot to take the fish oil with it, which helps put it in like liposomal form so it absorbs better. Because if I don't, then I get like, you know, the jitters are just...
I feel like gabapentin is like that too, I want to say. You have to take it with something like a fat.
Yeah. What is gabapentin for? Is that pain?
It's for anxiety and seizures.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm not currently prescribed it because I started abusing it. So can't have that anymore.
Oh, I had a cat who was on gabapentin for a while.
Yeah, a lot of animals get prescribed it, weirdly enough. Same with trazodone, which I'm also on for sleep.
I've got some amitriptyline for sleep in case I need it.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds hardcore.
It does sound hardcore. It's actually an antidepressant. So my issue is, so when I got diagnosed with ADHD, unofficially diagnosed with autism spectrum, thanks, Dr. Carl. He asked how my sleep is, and I was like, I actually fall asleep super easily, but my issue is I wake up in the middle of the night a lot, and I'm just laying there, and I just can't go back to sleep. And so he said for that, amitriptyline, which is like 10% of like the minimum dose of this antidepressant, just kind of helps stabilize my brain stuff so I can sleep through the night. So when I go through a phase where I'm just waking up a lot, I take one of those little teeny tiny things and it helps me sleep good.
Nice.
I don't know
Sleep
why.
is good.
It's good, but I don't know why I told you all that.
I'm glad you did. We love oversharing. We have a lot of catching up to do, honestly. We've only been like kind of talking regularly for a little bit because you were on my podcast again, and then we would send each other voice messages, and then you had the idea for this podcast. But that all happened pretty rapidly. There's so much lore that I still don't know about you.
There's so much lore that I don't know about you, but I feel like I know more about you because of your Substack and like all the places that you've written and been published and that. But like I've been largely off the internet, like not sharing anything for years now, you know?
Yeah, I always had you in my mind as like a successful writer and artist because you were like, for a while you were making a living doing like the ghostwriting thing. You had your creative ventures. I don't know. We talked all about it on my other podcast when you were on. They can go listen to that if they want to.
It's called Pickles and Vodka, a mental health podcast.
Yes. Back to what we were saying. This is supposed to be an intro. Oh yeah, because I'm so used to like sharing everything online all the time, I didn't even mention like where I lived or like...
That's okay. We had a friend who told us about two types of people. There's the peach people and the coconut people. And the coconut people are like a little harder to get to know in the beginning, but once you break past that hard shell, then you're good. And then there's the peach people that's like, it's all good getting to know them and everything, but like to really, really get a little deeper with them, like really get to know them, it's harder. I thought that was a very good visual analogy.
I like that. Which one are you?
Peach.
Yeah. That's hard. I don't know. Probably coconut, honestly. In real life.
Together we make a rock.
Oh no, now I have Rock of Ages stuck in my head.
Oh no, wait, the hymn. Rock
of Ages. Da da da. Da 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 da.
Oh my god.
This happens all the time. All you said was rock.
I actually sing hymns sometimes.
I have a hymnal in my piano bench that I take out every now and then when I'm feeling nostalgic. Because that's how I taught myself how to sight read. Was in the hymnal. I mean, and I was in the choir too in my church.
What hymns do you play on the piano now?
The ones that I am most like to play are the ones like in the minor keys. So like in the hymnal we have, they're separated by categories. So like Christmas, Easter, like whatever. And my favorite section is just says death and suffering.
Mood.
It's like songs about the crucifixion and sacrifice and all this stuff.
I love
We'll
that.
have to do a bonus episode where we get a hymnal and we'll like make each other sing songs in the hymnal.
Oh my God. That's really a frightening concept. But you know, it's interesting. So like, okay, this is so Southern. There's a Appalachian instrument called a lap dulcimer. I don't know if you've ever...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know the lap dulcimer. I have my grandpa's. It was an absolute fiasco to get back to New Zealand, but we got there. And I wouldn't say I'm bad at playing it, but I wouldn't say that I'm like pro level by any means. But it's interesting that like most of the songs that I play on it are like those old hymns, like Be Thou My Vision, one of my faves, Amazing Grace, and then a couple of like really traditional Southern songs, like old songs. They're like actually really beautiful though.
A lot of them were composed by the classic composers, like
True.
really like Handel and Bach and shit.
Yeah, or people who were in prison. Wasn't the person who wrote Amazing Grace in prison when he wrote it?
Probably.
That might have just been a
No,
movie
he
I
was
saw.
the one. He was in a shipwreck and he lost his whole family.
Was he?
And then he wrote Amazing Grace after that. Yeah, Focus on the Family had like a radio drama of it, and it was really traumatic. Editing Chris here. The episode I am talking about was actually about the hymn It Is Well With My Soul. Whoopsies. Have you heard of those? Focus on the Family radio theater?
Oh, yeah.
It's not Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah, we would
Okay.
listen to those. Oh my gosh, I forgot about those.
Yeah, we would too. But
Oof.
they had one about Amazing Grace, and it was like there was the scene where like everyone on the ship was drowning, and it was horrifying.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
We should do the disclaimer and shit soon before we get too far off the rails.
Oh, true. What I was going to finish about the lap dulcimer is that it's like its natural tuning suits these hymns and these old Southern songs perfectly. And of course you can change the tuning, but like the default tuning is like perfect for those. And I wonder if that was intentional or if that's just what like inspired the melody for some of these old songs. The hymns are obviously way older, but anyway, that was just my very conceptual idea, maybe question mark in my head.
Maybe you can compose a theme song for us on the lap dulcimer.
Oh my gosh, I think it would turn so many people off. I think that they would hear this like stringy Southern mountain instrument and be like, nope, that is not for me. I would listen to it and feel comforted, you know? But I think a lot of people would be like, nasty. But maybe
No dulcimer then.
Maybe we can put it through like some sort of filter and make it sound like a guitar or something. Wait,
I don't know.
my friend plays the harp.
Ooh. I mean, we're not angels over here.
Yeah, the harp is a little...
With our harps and
we
our
kind of need something like a heavy bass.
metal.
Yeah, we just need like stone grinding on stone, you know? Okay, should we read the disclaimer and do a quick little personal intro since this is episode 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I would love to.
Do you want to read the disclaimer or me?
You go ahead.
Okay. Prepare yourselves for our disclaimer. Disclaimer. This episode includes conversations about things like religious trauma, mental health, abuse, and other topics like that. We are not doctors or psychologists. This podcast is not intended to give official advice or anything serious. We're simply here to share our stories and talk about these things in a very real and human way. Our intention is for you to feel less alone, less crazy, and more supported. Now, let us get into it.
You do that part so well. I was literally thinking, like, I don't know what I would do when I get to the end. I can't say it that good. I'd probably just start laughing.
Yeah, sometimes I want to laugh, but I try to be a little mysterious. I don't know if it's working.
I think it's a little late for me.
It's never too late.
Although, I don't think I divulged a lot of information last episode.
I find you mysterious, and I'm actually friends with you. You're like so cool, and like I feel like you have so much wisdom.
Well, I am the oldest of 7, and
Yeah, you got me beat.
yeah. And no one ever comes to me for advice. I don't know why.
Have I never come to you for advice?
Have you? I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I'm usually the one to brain dump, and so I love it when there's someone else that can brain dump on me. It's like, this has been so cool, seeing how people are interacting with Clothesline on threads and stuff. I'm really happy that you know what you're doing there, because I definitely don't. I was thinking it's so nice to be the co-host that just kind of shows up.
But you're doing so much. Like, I don't understand at all what you're doing. Like, I barely figured out how to make a Substack account like 2 days ago.
You know, we're just learning as we go.
Yeah.
It's a joint effort.
I also don't know what I'm doing. I just like talking to people, and I like hearing what they've been through. And, you know, like now my feed is just full of people asking fun things like, what's the weirdest thing you ever taught in church? Or like, you know, like there's some deep questions, and then there's some really funny, lighthearted questions. And it's just really cool to like read through the comments. And
should we dedicate a segment of every episode to asking a couple questions or answering questions from listeners? I don't know if we have that many yet, or
we have like a couple, but I mean,
or should we
think,
save them for like specific episodes?
I mean, I think every episode would be great. I think that more questions would come in, you know, as we release episodes. So I can contact a couple people specifically that I've gotten to know a little more deeply than the rest and ask if they have any specific questions, or I can just find some questions on threads that other people are asking.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be fun.
To get the people involved.
We've got a couple questions in, I think, threads feedback.
I don't even know what that is.
That's one of our documents in the main folder.
Oh, I thought you were saying there's a specific part of threads that's called feedback. I was like, I don't think I've seen that.
No. Yeah, so we've got a few. So
okay. Maybe later.
Yeah, okay. I'll just exit that.
Yeah, just keep them handy, I would say.
Okay, they're handy. All right. You want to give your personal intro?
Sure. I'll try to do better than last time. I'm Chris. I'm non-binary. I am the co-host of Pickles and Vodka, which is a mental health podcast that Syd has been on as a guest twice. And I'm a writer. I write about eating disorders and addiction and harm reduction and religious trauma. So, you know, lighthearted stuff. And one thing that I don't think that I said last time is that there's kind of 3 things that people should know about me. 1, I am an addict. I'm a person who uses drugs. And I'm also a person who has an eating disorder, and I'm not in recovery per se for those things. I'm also on disability for mental health, and so that's actually kind of a recent development as of like February. So that is something that I'm like trying to figure out too, is like, I don't know, I'll cut all that.
You don't have to cut that.
I don't know why I'm getting like stage fright all of a sudden.
It's because you're sharing some real personal, deep shit, maybe?
I know. I guess, yeah, I don't want people to like get the wrong idea. I'm not going to pretend like I'm doing great all the time. There will probably at some point in the run of this show be times where I'll have to like step away for a few weeks or something. Yeah, it just happens. And I don't know, trigger warning, I guess, for everything I just talked about. I don't like to sugarcoat things. So I probably will talk about the details at some point.
Yeah.
It's hard if there's no one asking you questions.
It is really hard. Side note, I was also thinking that if you are me, if one of us is not feeling up to recording at some point in time, that might be a great time to like have a guest on the show. Because there's a lot of people who want to come on here and just talk about their stories. And I think that would be super, super cool. And also, if we ever want to record like a solo episode, I'm so down for that.
Yes.
So there's there's no pressure. You know, I feel like so far we've built a small community in a really sustainable way that will always give us material to like talk about. So don't stress at all about that.
Cool. I think I did mention last time, I didn't come out as queer until my 30s, like early 30s, but that's new to me as well. And I'm really looking forward to getting into those kind of topics with you on this podcast and how the religious trauma affects everything. No. But yeah, that's me for now.
Yay!
Your turn.
Hello, I'm Syd. I am originally from a small town in Southeast Alabama. I was in Asia for 7 years, and I've been in New Zealand for 11 years, which is where I'm recording from now.
By the way, I forgot to say where I was again.
Oh my God, say where you are.
I'm in Virginia. I ended up here by accident, and it's okay so far.
The mountains in Virginia are gorgeous. I've got some distant family out there. Very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it so far, but...
You still need to come see me.
I know. Yeah. First, I need to renew my passport.
Yeah, we'll take it one step at a time. I'm not going anywhere. I fought really hard for residency, so I am not really going to travel till I could get a Kiwi passport next year. So I feel like the US passport is not a great one to have at the moment. Anyway, I am non-binary. I am a they-them person, and I also am a writer. I find myself writing fiction a little more than nonfiction, but the fiction is deeply allegorical to my experience and all of my various flavors of trauma. So it's a fun adventure. I started working on my book again last night. I got a whole chapter salvaged / rewritten, and it felt so good. Oh my gosh. Like, all I want to do right now, besides like talking to you, is just work on my book. It felt so good.
Oh my God. Your excitement is contagious.
Yay! I'm like really working on the relationship with my inner child, and like little Syd was so excited about everything all the time. And so I'm letting myself express excitement a little more now. And it feels really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
How much do you want to share about that project? Because I don't know if I even know that much about it.
I haven't talked about it very much, but so I started it. Well, I say I started it. The idea came to me back in 2018. I won't get into like exactly the situation I was in, but I had flown back to the US, and like the idea just like slapped me in the face, as it does. So I wrote not that much, maybe like 12,000 words, 15,000 words. And then it's largely just like sat collecting dust since then. And after like leaving the bad situation that I was in and, you know, kind of re-finding myself a little and going through lots of therapy, there's a bird outside this window that's holding the hugest stick in its beak. If this is the bird's head,
what kind of bird is it?
It's just a pigeon. The stick is like this big.
Is it flying with the stick?
Yes. It like flew down.
Why did I just like look out my own window like I would see it?
You wanted a pigeon with a stick in your yard. But yeah, it just like flew down with the stick, landed on the laundry line, and then flew back into the tree with this like huge...
On the clothesline?
On the clothesline! It's a sign.
It's a sign.
We're in New Zealand. We don't have a dove with an olive branch. We've got a pigeon with a stick.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Next tattoo idea.
For real. That was so freaking funny. I totally forgot what I was saying. Anyway, so the premise
You were introducing yourself.
Yeah, and you asked about my book. The premise of the book...
Yes, that's right.
It is still developing since I have changed a lot since then. It is a queer, magical realism, action, romance, psychological situation. So basically, the main character had some trauma happen, and the trauma kind of dominated their life so much that they just took off and left the woman that they were in love with. And the woman that they were in love with got into a pretty sticky situation pretty quickly after. So the main character feels like, wait a minute, something's not adding up, but like, I can't really go investigate because of my trauma. And the main character is also a shapeshifter, by the way. So it's about them kind of harnessing their trauma to use it as a jump start of power to go like rescue the woman they love. So that's I mean,
Sounds
subject to
awesome.
change, but those are the bones, you know? So yeah.
I want to read it.
I've never written anything like this before. Normally it's very like kind of fantasy, but I'm excited about this one. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm working on a post-apocalyptic novel.
Ooh.
That's also very allegorical, and it's also very bare bones. You were actually one of the people that motivated me, because I normally just do creative nonfiction. That's like my favorite genre. That's where I'm most comfortable. But you reminded me of like going back to our roots, which is, you know, the fantasy stuff, like the fiction. We connected over that on Homeschool Blogger and beyond. And so, yeah, it does feel a little bit like coming back to that inner child. If your inner child is like a traumatized kid who's afraid of the A-bomb.
Yeah. I want to reread some of my very first manuscript, just like specifically to see what like curses I came up with when they needed to curse. You know, like at some point they have to say something. You can't just say like, this character cursed under their breath or something. Like,
right.
I feel like I probably wrote like gadzooks or something.
Zounds.
Yeah.
That's fun. My brain just went blank.
Do you have the outline open?
Yes, I do. Oh yeah. So we introduced ourselves. Last episode, we used words like fundamentalism and cult. And I wanted to kind of elaborate on what those words mean for ourselves, because I think that that is something that can get really it can get really touchy and twisted. Like, I'll probably cut this, but my mom has gotten mad at me before for using the word fundamentalist to describe my upbringing. And so that put me on a rabbit hole of like, okay, well, what does fundamentalism really mean? And the way I understand it is you basically take the Bible literally.
Yeah.
What about you? Like what words have you / do you use to describe your faith system growing up?
Typically, I've been putting fundamentalist evangelical Christianity. I am also a little nervous about, you know, people who are still in that belief system, particularly people who know me, finding my content online and seeing me call it a cult and fundamentalism. But the thing is, I know growing up that I heard probably from the pulpit our belief system being called fundamentalist, but like that was a trophy, you know, like we're fundamentalist, yeah. And it's a bit of a confusing term, I feel like, especially cult. I feel like cult will not go over well with people who are still in the belief system, you know? But I pulled up 2 pages of Britannica, fundamentalism and evangelical church, just to kind of see what the formal definition is, to kind of give me like a starting point.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give you some of the key things that I saw?
Yeah. And I have more to add on the cult of it all, too.
Do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah. So, do you know what the BITE model is? Have you heard of the BITE model?
I don't think so.
So basically, it's an acronym. Each letter stands for a different area that they use to maintain control over you. So it's behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. So like behavior, that's pretty self-explanatory. You have to do certain things or not do certain things to be good.
Yeah.
Information, that was huge. Well, we had our internet censored heavily, if we even had internet access at all. I know there are a lot of books and stuff we weren't allowed to read.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about movies last week.
Yeah.
And then thought control, that is a big one. I was just thinking earlier today how fucked up it is when you grow up feeling like your thoughts are being surveilled. Like, that's horrifying. And even when I'm alone these days, like, I never quite feel alone. I don't know if you have this, but I think that's definitely one way that's carried over. And then emotional control is also kind of self-explanatory. I'm picturing like really emotional church services, like the music they would use that was all used to manipulate emotions. So you can apply the bite model to any sort of religion to determine whether it's a cult. You know, are they controlling behavior, information, thought, and emotions?
Yeah. I remember this was ages ago, and I have absolutely no idea where I would find this. I could probably find it if I Googled it. But I remember there was this study that came out of like basically investigating why people in these mega churches that are so heavily music focused, you know, that play music the entire time, like why people get so emotional. It was talking about how, like, there's psychology behind this. Like, there are certain...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, it was talking about certain frequencies, certain keys that, like, stimulate the emotional centers of your brain that make you, like, basically more easily brainwashed and influenced by the environment. And that was... I remember seeing that, like, right around the time that I was, like, leaving the church, or shortly after, and just being so freaked out about it. Like, wait a minute. Like, questioning, were those emotions that I was experiencing actually real? Or were they just influenced because I was having some sort of, like, weird connection with the energy in the room and everyone else who was emotional, and we were all just, like, basically feeding off of each other. And that
I think it can be both.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, because I'm thinking of, like, going to see like a rock concert that you've been listening to the artist for 10 years and you're finally seeing them in person. Like, yes, it does. You have a lot of personal meaning, but then there's also all the people around you. There's the lights. There's the experience of being there at the show. You do get swept up kind of in the performance while also having this personal experience.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true, like, for church services, but I don't know, it's a little more sinister because they're trying to, they're using that for their own purposes.
Yeah.
Recruitment.
Well,
They're using it for recruitment purposes, for, I don't know.
Even monetary gain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thought surveillance thing is, like, honestly, that unlocked a memory for me, because I remember, I mean, especially when I was like 11 or 12, all the way up, you know, being so afraid every time I had any sort of, like, bad thought or every time I got angry, because I'd also been taught that, like, being angry is equivalent to killing someone.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
Same.
was like, there was a time that I was like, someone told me to list out, like, every sin I'd ever committed or something like that. And I was like, I've killed people because I was angry at them.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's so...
Yeah. It was a lot.
That's so fucked up. I also was not taught how to be angry. I still feel like I don't really know how to be angry. I don't handle conflict very well. But yeah, I used to toss and turn in my bed at night because I had bad thoughts. And so I would get stomach cramps. The longer I held it in without telling anyone, I would go to my mom and, like, confess, and she would pray with me. And then, only then, would I be able to go to sleep. And that happened for a while. Even after I stopped, you know, confessing to her, I would still have the bad thoughts. And I just felt guilty all the time. And I'm not completely over it. I still feel guilty, like, much of the time. And it's something I'm working on in therapy, but it really goes deep. Like, I don't know who I am without guilt, you know? Like, you can't just be allowed to exist for free and have, like, I don't know, because I'm alive, I need to feel guilty.
Yeah. I think that, you know, when we were raised, we were basically taught that the only emotion that you could express would be, like, happiness, right? And joy. And so everything else, you know, imagine how interconnected it all is. Like, storing all that tension inside us gave us so many of actually similar physical health issues, not to mention mental health issues, you know? I mean, all that is stored, especially like in your stomach and your intestines, you know? Like,
yeah.
that burning sensation. Oh, I feel that when I get angry. And I feel like that is such a big reason that I got into writing, because that was a way that I could explore these inner worlds, even though I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time. Like thinking about like the plot of the stories that I was writing at a younger age and even through my teens, I can see how much grief and anger I was holding in. And I was able to express that through story, but that only goes so far. You know, there also needs to be like a way to express anger so we can get it out of our systems. And that is also something that I'm identifying and like trying to work through also in therapy these days, because it's really hard. I don't feel like I can just be angry. Like, what do I do with it? You know?
I would self-harm when I got angry. That became my primary way of coping. And it's something that I have like lapsed back into a few times as an adult in moments of extreme emotion. And later on, I would use drugs to like sedate myself when I felt angry, because I don't trust myself to be angry, because I don't, you know, I could do anything. Who knows? Now that I think about it, it really does come down to not trusting yourself, which is something that we really got taught as kids, was like, trust not in thy own understanding. You probably have some anecdotes of your own.
You know, because we're human, we're basically like completely untrustworthy. We're naturally shitty. You know, we basically don't deserve anything except like the deepest pits of hell. And the only reason that we can even entertain the idea of being happy or experiencing anything good in life is if we believe in Jesus, you know, and commit our lives to this belief system. I mean, obviously we're speaking from a Christian standpoint. We, you know, I'm sure that many other religions have some similar narrative. But like being raised with that narrative that like we're just, we can't even trust ourselves because we're just always going to do the wrong thing. We're always going to lead ourselves astray. Like everything we do is going to be wrong and sinful unless we do it like for the glory of God or like get some divine confirmation that it's the right thing to do. It just creates a lot of self-trust issues. That's a very, very good point. I think that's also why a lot of our anger, when we did experience it, manifested in self-hatred, because we couldn't justify that emotion because it wasn't divinely inspired, you know? And that self-hatred turned into lots of different flavors of self-harm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, and the more I think about it, like as someone who came out as queer later in life, I sometimes have moments of sadness or regret that I wasn't able to have like a queer childhood or a queer, you know, high school experience. I didn't get to have any of that. And I was thinking, like, there was always part of me that didn't feel normal, but I could never quite put my finger on it. And once I started dating in college, and I was in quite a few long-term monogamous relationships with men, I kind of look back at those times, and it does kind of feel like self-harm, even though at the time, I just thought, you know, maybe I need to give this person more of a chance, then I'll find them attractive. Or like, maybe I just have to do something differently and then I'll feel this like soulmate connection everyone's talking about. And so like every time I would like be physical with a man, I don't know, it just felt wrong somehow. And yeah, I especially think of the last relationship I was in where there was sexual assault at the very end. And I berate myself a lot for being with that person in the first place, you know, because it's always my fault, right? I could have avoided all of this if I had just like figured out I was gay earlier. That's where my brain is going. It's just like, it's all my fault. I don't even know where I'm going with that. You said self-harm and it just like unlocked something.
No, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean this in a way that is not at all like placing the blame on us, but I feel for myself in the past when I have ignored my intuition. That has been a way that I have self-harmed, especially when I knew what to look out for. And I saw these behaviors and I saw these patterns, and I intentionally chose to ignore it. I knew exactly what I was doing. And there's a lot of like psychological layers to that, you know. Part of it is, you know, once you've been in a bad relationship, especially like a manipulative relationship, then, you know, you kind of get that becomes your comfort zone, basically. And so you don't, anything that's like safe feels threatening. So part of it was that, but then part of it, there was definitely like this negative self-talk underneath all that. That's like, I don't deserve anything better, you know? And I think that must be directly related to that narrative that we grew up with of us being just naturally shitty people. And especially when you leave the church, there becomes this like loss of hope almost, of like, oh God, now my life is just gonna get even shittier because I'm apparently nothing and I only deserve hell if I don't conform to this system. And now I'm not in the system anymore. So that must be a truth of it, that I'm not ever gonna deserve anything good.
Well, there's no role models either. You don't see examples of like happy queer adults when you're a kid in the church. Like, you just don't.
Yeah.
And same with, you know, those of us who do step away don't tend to remain super active with their families, I've noticed. And because of that, I didn't know any family members that like had escaped. You know what I'm trying to say? They kind of isolate you by design. So you don't know what else is out there. So you don't know that it's possible, that you actually have choices.
Yeah. This is kind of a funny story. Probably only funny to me because I can still hear this voice in my head. So I was, how old was I? Maybe 16, 17. And I was at my grandparents' house, and my grandmother was from Savannah, Georgia, and had the most old-fashioned Savannah accent. It was just a beautiful accent, honestly. It's so fun to make fun of because she would just pronounce things in a funny way. But I remember, you know, like, especially when we were teenagers, the only like queer person that we ever had any sort of vague exposure to would have been Ellen. And my grandmother was sitting at the table and she was just flipping the channels, and the Ellen show was on, and she just like, this look of disgust just came across her face. She was like, she looked at me and she was like, she's gay. I hate her. I mean, keep in mind, I'm still in the church at this point, but I remember just going,
of course.
It was just so funny the way that she said it. And she just flipped the channel and just like completely moved on. And I was like, what was that? Like, what was that outburst of hatred? Like, what?
Right?
Yeah, she's gay.
I didn't realize
her.
how, wow. So you had no other context, just
No, I mean,
hate.
Like, I had heard about Ellen because one of my friends at the time, like, their family was Methodist. They just lived down the road. This was, you know, my best friend for all the years that I grew up, and we're still in touch. But her family was like a lot more progressive. Like, they were very queer affirming. They were, you know, more open-minded, that type thing. And so they watched Ellen. They loved Ellen. So when I was at their house and they were watching Ellen, I was like, what the heck? Are they going to hell? You know? And so it was just really funny to like see that, you know, my grandmother's acting this way, and then, you know, my friend and her family are acting this way. And it just made me laugh the way that she said it with so much passion. I was like, you've never even watched her show. You just like know that she's a lesbian.
I'm shocked that you even saw it on TV.
Yeah, it was on cable TV. I don't remember which channel.
We only watched TLC because there was a show my mom loved to watch called The Baby Story.
Oh
and
my God.
It followed a couple. You too?
I think I've seen almost.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because my mom was a neonatal nurse. So she has always been obsessed with babies and birth. And I mean, we would watch this baby story show from the time I was less than 10 years old. And I just remember being traumatized by these graphic images of birth. Oh,
they
my
show
God.
Everything.
Literally
to this
everything.
day, I will fast forward childbirth scenes. I don't care.
Yeah.
I cannot. I'll watch someone getting tortured to death. I'll even watch like sex scenes sometimes, whatever.
Yeah.
But
it's a step up
I
from the
can't do
movie
childbirth.
reviews.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if they would mention childbirth on Plugged In Online. I don't think I remember reading any mention of graphic childbirth scenes.
No, it was probably like normal.
That's probably okay.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
she had a baby or something like that.
We had what we called clothes folding parties, where my mom would empty out 2 big giant things of laundry covering the whole living room floor, and all the kids would just start folding, and the baby story would be on in the background. And my mom would always cry whenever the baby came out. Oh, it's so gross. We also watched What Not to Wear, which is traumatizing in a different way.
Yeah.
Actually, that was my very first gay person that I probably saw on TV, now that I think about it, is
Clinton.
Yeah. And Stacy's gay, which I found out recently.
Same. Yeah, we watched a lot of that show. And for some reason, if there was any sort of hint at gayness, usually my mom especially, but my parents would boycott that show. And for some reason, What Not to Wear was fine.
Yeah.
Maybe because he was
weird.
Not doing anything gay. I don't know. This actually is very related to the fundamentalism and evangelicalism conversation, because it's so pick and choosy, which is crazy because they're always you can't pick and choose, but they're picking and choosing. My parents were watching Grey's Anatomy. I mean, this was in my late teen years, and there was one, I think, lesbian kiss scene or something, and they literally stopped watching Grey's Anatomy after that. They refused to watch it. My mom and I watched a lot of Walking Dead. We got really, really obsessed with it for, I guess, the first few seasons. And there was one gay kiss scene, and I remember it came on kind of unprecedented. One of the characters was about to die or something from the zombie bite or whatever, and they had a kiss, and it was just a very simple. But my mom was sitting in the chair, and this is also kind of funny. She went into a full spasm. She it looked like a cartoon character, freaking waving her arms everywhere before using one arm to cover her eyes. The other arm, she held out her hand like this in a stop, sign at the TV. Just absolutely horrified that these 2 men had kissed on this show. And I almost also kind of laughed, but I also felt ashamed for kind of feeling this sense of I don't know. I liked it because it was something different, and I think it really spoke to my inner queer that I didn't know existed at that point. And yeah, I felt seen, But her reaction was just so unbelievably over the top dramatic. It was just really, really funny.
I have a story to match that. So we didn't have any gay depictions, not even to fast forward, but every time there was someone with her midriff bared or cleavage showing, they would fast forward that scene. And sex scenes, forget it, we fast forwarded them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so this was actually after I had been living out of the home for 5 years. We were adults. I had just moved to DC, and my mom was visiting with my sisters. And we were watching this movie. I think it was called Perfect Sense. It has Ewan McGregor. It's everyone on Earth starts losing their senses. But anyway, there's a scene where the hero and the heroine are having sex in the bathtub. And
as you do,
my mom jumped up and covered the screen, and she was like, "Unmarried nipple! Unmarried nipple!"
That's going in the show notes. I'm going to put that in the show notes. We should call this episode Unmarried Nipple.
Yeah, Yeah, subscribe to our Patreon and you get
Unmarried Nipple.
access to...
Well, I mean, you won't get Unmarried Nipple from us, but you'll get the hypothetical Unmarried Nipple. Do you want to... Can I tell you something?
Where do you go from there?
I know exactly where to go. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
I don't care if you put this in the show or not. I'm not ashamed. I don't have nipples. I went full alien chest when I had top surgery.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah.
Wow.
No unmarried nipple from me.
No nipple at all.
No nipple at all from me.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have an asthma attack.
You gotta put that in.
Wow. Does your family know that you had top surgery?
I think that they have an inkling. So originally, I had top surgery in August of 2024. Maybe I should also put this in the show notes if anyone's interested. I documented that entire process and made it into a PDF that I put online for free with photos just to like document the entire healing process. I had a revision about 7 months ago and I documented that as well. So it's been the entire process of pre-surgery all the way up to being fully healed. If anyone is just curious or is nervous about their own surgery or wants to learn more about it. But anyway, back before I had top surgery, this was probably a year before I had top surgery, I was really hungry for a relationship with my parents especially. And, you know, things were not great between us. I should get into that in a future episode. But like I had asked my housemate at the time, like, hey, would you be there to kind of like mediate the conversation when I tell them that I'm going to have top surgery? And some more stuff happened. And I was just like, you know what? Actually, like, that's just opening up a whole negative can of worms. Like, they don't need to know. I'm in my 30s. I don't need their approval. I mean, I think that's what it boiled down to, is I wanted the support and approval that they realistically were not going to give and likely will never give. So I just got it. And 2 months later, I flew to the US for my sister's wedding. And it was like the whitest of all white weddings. I mean, I'm talking matching PJs that we changed into when we got to the venue that morning. Photos. I drank like 20 mimosas. I was like, I'm not going through this day sober. No freaking way. So I'm like so tipsy in all of these photos. But like the way, it's quite funny actually. The photos are great. I look really happy, probably because I was like a little drunk, but I'll show you the photos. But like the matching PJs that we all dressed in were like the kind of like slinky material, kind of like clung to the body shape, you know?
Yeah.
And I could see my mom looking at my chest because there was no line from a sports bra. There was no, like, clearly I was not wearing anything under this top. And I remember her actually, like, kind of staring at it for several seconds before just, like, looking away. And I saw her glance a couple of times, but she obviously didn't bring it up because they're very, like, non-confrontational. And, you know, don't want to talk about anything like that. And they never brought it up. I never had, like, a conversation about it with either of my siblings. So at this point, I think they have suspicions, but it's not like I'm hiding it. It's just like, why am I going to, like, open up the floor to a conversation that's just going to go really badly?
That's how I feel about being non-binary. I haven't had a conversation with anyone in my family. I know it'll be like that. And I think there's this pressure we sometimes put on ourselves now that we've realized who we are authentically. At least for me, I felt pressure to like be very open about it and tell everybody and be completely honest. And I think it's totally fine not to do that. Like if you need to not keep it secret, you're not hiding it, but also I don't know I don't see the point. But I also hate conflict. So I don't know.
I would say protecting your peace is probably more important than, I think it's important for us, especially given like what we've been through, the way we grew up, to examine like, okay, why do I actually want to have this conversation with them? And what do you hope to get out of it? But what were you saying?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I didn't even, like, officially, I haven't even come out. Like, I never made, like, a coming out post or anything like that. I just kind of told people one-on-one. I think it's a very personal thing for me. It's something that I don't feel the need to talk about all the time because it's, like, still happening inside me.
Yeah.
I am the babiest of gays.
I feel like that gets such an unfair reputation. Like, everyone has to figure out who they are, and that changes every day. I was literally just thinking about this yesterday. There's no end point. And that is really hard because I want there to be an end point. Like, oh, when I achieve this, then I will graduate as a queer, or as I will be healed, and that's just not how it works. But if it makes you feel better, I also never did any sort of like coming out. I mean, I did have like a huge conversation with my mom directly about it, maybe 3 years ago or something, 4 years, something like that. And it went horribly, so badly that I actually like blocked it out of my brain. I would have to go into the chats with my New Zealand best friend, because directly after it happened, I texted her like absolutely every detail. And I was like, my brain is going to block this out, so I'm documenting it here. And can barely remember anything about it. But if we want to talk about that at some point, I would be more than happy to. And that was related to something like she was really putting a lot of pressure on me to go to church when I had come home for a visit to Alabama home.
Yeah.
And she was like, everyone wants to see
Mine
you.
too.
I was like, well, if they want to see me so bad, why can't they come here? Like, we live 3 minutes away from the church. Like, why do I have to go there? And she was like, why won't you come to church? And I was like, that's a discussion that I don't have the energy for right now. So I wrote this whole long thing on my phone and I read it to her the next day, and it went so badly. And that was when things really fell off in our relationship. I'm not going to lie. And it's, been very, very little contact since then. Yeah, lots of lore there. But that's
so painful.
It's really painful. But I think it's been a really good growing point. Like I mentioned, it's like there's that inner part of me that like really wants a relationship with them. But realistically, I know that they will never approve. They will never support me. And if I feel like I want to talk to them about something this deep, what's the outcome that I want? Because I've already like told them the outcomes that I want. I just want a relationship with them. And I want things to be strained. And they're not willing to work through any of their ideas. They're not willing to, have a relationship with me, with their child. Therefore, why am I going to expend energy that's just going to like just bring about a bunch of negativity, So
yeah,
you got to put yourself and your own well-being and your own peace first, because that is the most important thing. And I feel like you're doing a pretty good job of that at this point.
Thanks. I mean, they were also not surprised. It's kind of like when I came out as an atheist. Did I tell you about that?
No.
I was 21. I was in a motorcycle accident. My parents drove 4 hours to be at the hospital. I was on lots of drugs. And I looked up at them and I was like, Mom, Dad, I don't believe in God anymore. And they were just like, oh, we know.
What?
And so I think it's similar with the queer stuff, because I remember I had broken up with my ex and I hadn't told my parents why. But I finally did tell my mom, like, so I think I'm gay, or I like to use the word queer now, but back then I was like, I think I'm gay. And she was like, oh, I kind of had a feeling something like that was going on. And we have not talked about it once since then. But every now and then she will say, like, do you have anyone special in your life? Just like,
I love
she
the
tries really
gender-neutral
hard.
language of that.
Yeah, she will try to use they, them pronouns, referring to, there's certain friends of mine that I have told her use they, them pronouns. And so when she refers to them, she'll sometimes correct herself. Like, she's really trying.
Holy crap.
But it's hard for me to trust it. Like, how do I know she's just not acting that way or saying those things to, like, appease me?
I mean, she's still making an effort.
I know.
She could be completely ignoring it just to, like, get a reaction out of you, or to, like, dig her claws in even deeper into the ground, you know? That's actually, like, really encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Gothard's former secretary.
Yeah, for real. Like, I would have expected, like, nothing you just said was what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be, like, more similar to what I've experienced with my parents, but, like, your parents actually seem more open.
Everyone who meets my parents, I actually love introducing my friends to my parents because they're always very surprised. They've heard all these crazy stories about my parents, and so I think they're expecting, like, anything but reality, which is my parents are very nice, cool people. I just know that they have very deeply held beliefs, like fundamentalist beliefs, that they're not going to sway on, but they know that if they know the cost of, like, pushing us away at this point. Like, they're so desperate to be close to us and to keep us in their lives that they aren't as in your face about it. It's very complicated, I think. 'Cause, like, I realize how rare it is to have that relationship with my parents. A lot of, queer people who used to be in the church, like, are just completely estranged. But I can't really be, like, myself around them. Like, I have to constantly filter a part of my life. And I don't think even I realized how painful it would be. I was like, okay, cool, I'll just never talk about that stuff. I don't want to hear about their religion. I won't talk about, my queer friends or, like, whatever. But that's a shitty feeling too.
Yeah, it's a really shitty feeling, because as much as we don't want to admit it, I do feel like there is a biological bond there, and it's, like, quite natural to want to feel close and emotionally intimate with the people that you're blood related to. And so when you can't do that, it really creates this sort of disconnect and a lot of feelings of turmoil. Because it's like, what can I do? I can either put myself in a jeopardizing situation by trying to achieve this desire of mine, this very human, natural desire, or I can live in this state of kind of emotional, again, turmoil by just not even trying. It's like, how do you navigate that?
You start a podcast.
We should. I feel like we could talk for a long time about all this.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I feel like I have so many good ideas for stuff to talk about, but when it's actually recording, I get stage fright.
But that's okay. Like, the conversation flows in a way that is natural, It's not going to flow if we force it, if we push it. So I think it's important to just kind of honor that, like, how we're doing. Whatever you shared today is just kind of like what's on your head, What's on your head, in your head, around your head.
I don't have anything on my head. Like, you don't have any nipples. I don't have any hair. I'm bald.
Yeah, I'm
mostly
alien chest. Yeah.
Someone should make, like, cartoons of us.
Oh my God. If anyone listening wants to make cartoons of us, please do it.
Or not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Do we want to try to answer a question from a listener?
Yeah, we've got a couple already.
Let's do that.
Oh, there's some good ones. How deep do we want to go? Maybe not too deep. We'll do this one. I so apologize because there's no way I would be able to find out who asked this, and unfortunately, I did not document your username. But one of you on Threads commented on one of my posts and said, "Did you have friends growing up who went to regular school? And did you question why you were homeschooled?"
I was a Navy brat, so there were always a ton of kids in the Navy. Like, we usually lived on bases with a lot of other kids. And so, yes, we were friends with neighborhood kids who went to regular school, but we were always threatened with public school. Like, none of us actually wanted to go to public school because we were scared of it. We were like, that's where you get corrupted by the devil and, like, you know, liberal government gets its claws on you. So yeah, I was never jealous of my friends who went to normal school. I was just, I remember feeling kind of sorry for them even, but also jealous of them because they got to wear, like, cool clothes and, like, I don't know, they didn't have this existential anxiety hanging over them all the time. What about you?
Yeah, so we were in a homeschool group and we all had classes together. So in some ways it was, you know, more like a typical classroom. But aside from that, most of my friends went to the public schools or the private schools. And I think I might have mentioned this in the last episode, but my parents were always like, hey, if you really want to go, then you can. You know, we could go and, you know, maybe they would, I think at the time, maybe it was just because we knew someone, they were like, yeah, you could do one day and just kind of see how you liked it. Or, you know, we could just go see for a couple hours what it would be like. And my mom was like, but you'd have to wake up early. And I was like, oh. That was when I was quite young, but like, they had always made it very clear to me that the reason that they chose to homeschool is because the quality of education in my poor little town was not great. And I don't doubt that that's true to a degree, but I see now, especially like having a huge discussion about curriculum with people on Threads, it was very much to like keep me indoctrinated, like 100%. And that was definitely like the primary reason. I think also, you know, once my brother came along when I was 8, and then my sister when I was 9.5, helping take care of them also became like one of my jobs. And they wouldn't have received that child care if I was in school for 8 or 9 hours a day. So yeah. And so I thought I knew why I was homeschooled. But like, again, I'm not mad that I was. Like, I'm actually quite, you know, like I'm pleased with the experience in the way that like I could spend more time on stuff that I didn't understand to make sure that I understood it rather than just feeling lost. And then I could prioritize the stuff that I was really interested in, like certain parts of history, writing, you know, that type thing. I'm not mad about it, but I'm also feeling like, you know, there was a little white lies told there.
I didn't hate being homeschooled. I liked it that I just got to read as much as I want. Like, our mom was kind of hands off, and with 7 kids, like, she was always just holding her head above water, and so it was really easy to kind of do whatever you wanted. I actually taught one of my little sisters to read. Like, the older kids would get assigned younger kids to, like, teach and, like, take care of. It's like you were saying. It's, yeah, I think the hardest thing for me, and this might have happened even if I hadn't been homeschooled, maybe I'm just an introvert, that's just who I am, but I always felt very much, like, on the fringes of what was happening. Like, I mean, pop culture references would just fly over my head. I remember being in Girl Scouts, and there was this, like, I forget if it was a sleepover or what, but I was in someone's basement watching a movie with a bunch of like preteen girls, and there was like a couple making out on TV, and I was so scandalized. That's a very clear memory. Just feeling like I was in a pit of hell or something.
Yeah. Like getting exposed to the stuff that they were exposed to, you know? Like the music, the movies.
Yeah, to the point where I'm surveilling them. You know, like, it's crazy. I would look at the normal kids and be like, oh, they shouldn't be wearing that, or they shouldn't be watching that. And I would get worried for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't allowed to wear bikinis. And so I was like, I don't know how they live like that. Yeah. How can they just walk around with everything showing?
Yeah.
A lot of slut shaming now that I think about it.
I feel like it ties very well into this Britannica definition of evangelicalism that I pulled up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't really talk about the fundamentalism or the evangelicalism, so maybe we could do that next episode, because that actually ties in very well into how we were kind of conditioned to seeing people outside of the belief system as projects rather than people.
Yeah.
That was a
I
huge
specifically
thing.
have been to youth groups where they literally were like, it's your job to save these people.
Yes.
Yeah, we could talk about that for a whole episode. And we will.
We will.
But today was fun. I still couldn't tell you what we talked about, but I feel cathartic and traumatized a little bit.
Yeah. Like, it's easy for us to talk about it, but knowing that other people are going to hear this is a bit daunting still.
I've loved getting people's feedback, though. Just from what you've shown me, like the small interactions that you've had, it's so cool.
It is really cool. There's just so many really lovely people that have just collided with me on the internet about, these particular topics. And it just makes me so excited. Like, I don't want to really do anything else. I just want to talk to these people, and I just want to hear from people and listen to their stories and,
Yeah. What is the best way for people to get in touch with us if they have a story they want to share, or if they have something that they want to say based on our discussion?
Can people comment on Substack? How does that work?
I don't think you have to be a subscriber. Each episode has its own post, and so you can go to that post and comment on it. But I think to comment, you have to have a Substack account. We're still figuring out what platforms we want to use and like how it's all gonna work distribution wise.
Yeah. I mean, really, if the most direct way would be to hit me up on Threads. I'm not really on any other social platforms. I'm pretty much just on Threads. Like, if someone messages me on Instagram, I might not look at it for a while because I never open the app. So Threads is definitely the best way. And you also have a Threads now. Yay!
I'm finally on Threads.
Yay!
I have no idea what I'm doing.
It's okay. I don't either.
I was like, how do I find the specific threads for different topics?
Yeah.
And it took me forever to figure that out.
I wish that you could put certain posts on Threads into like categories, but you know how like on TikTok, people can have like playlists and you can add videos to the playlist? Yeah.
I'm not on TikTok. I've never been on TikTok.
Yeah, so you can do that. I don't really know how to do it, but people do it. So like if you go to someone's page and sometimes they're talking about cats and sometimes they're talking about ghost stories, they can add it to like a playlist. That way, if you're interested in one of the specific topics, you can watch all the videos for that topic there if they add them. But yeah, I wish Threads had something like that. So the people who are interested in like my witchy shit can like see my posts about the witchy shit. And then the other people who are interested in like Clothesline and religious trauma can look at that, But anyway, yes, Chris is on Threads now as well. You can tag both of us. So one of us will get it. And
it's all in the show notes.
It's all in the show notes. But don't forget to subscribe to our Substack. You don't have to make an account. I like that feature. You don't have to make a Substack account. You can actually just put your email and it will send you our new posts and new episodes. I really like that.
You should do it.
Yeah.
All the cool kids are doing it.
All the cool kids are doing it. All right.
Cool. I still don't know how to sign off on this thing. What did we do last time?
I don't know, but I was just going to say, see you next time, folks, or something like that. I don't know. Oh, I remember what we did last time. We did your meal prayer. Thank you, Jesus, for this food. In Jesus' name, amen.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, man.
I hope everyone's enjoyed being awkward with us.
It will keep happening.
It will definitely keep happening, and that's the fun part.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Clothesline Podcast is a labor of love by and for survivors of religious trauma. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, share Clothesline with a friend. To sign up for every new episode, subscribe for free at clotheslinepod.substack.com. Want to go the extra mile? Support us on Patreon and get access to bloopers, journal entries, and more. If you could relate to this episode, we want to hear from you. You can follow Syd on Threads at HouseGhostCreative and Chris at XTinaJumper. We hope we'll see you next time.